Hi, I'm Sarah Spoelstra. I'm a graphic designer and marketer from Moonshine Design. I worked for Sashco for 13 years until I struck out on my own, and I helped the log and building materials industry reach and engage their people. One of my favorite clients is the IMTA, and which is what brought me here. So today we're talking with Brett Youngstrom from Yellowstone Log Homes. And both Brett and I are new to talking on camera, so bear with us. But Brett, can you tell me a little about yourself and the history of the IMTA? Not
Yeah,
IMTA, Yellowstone Log Home. See, I already messed it up.
that's just fine. Yeah, so my name is Brett Youngstrom. I guess, a third generation member of Yellowstone Log Homes team. My grandfather, Lewis Youngstrom, in 1962, he started building or milling and manufacturing the logs for log homes. And that kind of transitioned over time to where my father and my uncle, they also were interested in doing the same thing. And so he kind of helped them to get started at the location that we're at now. It was Youngstrom Log Homes initially. And then over time, we were able to bring his milling equipment here to our location in Rigby, Idaho. And in 1976, that's kind of when Yellowstone Log Homes officially got started at this location. But as a family, since 1962, we've been doing log homes, and I work here. I've got a daughter who's worked here, and nephews and lots of cousins and a couple brothers and uncles. So it's a lot of family involvement, but there's a lot of workers here that we consider family that have been with us for a long time. It's I guess I worked before, as I was in high school, and then I went to college for a few years, and then for the last 22 years, I've been here pretty much full time, just trying to help contribute to the business and help things grow and kind of roll with the punches as things have ebbed and flowed.
That's awesome. And what's your role there?
I'm I'm our office manager, but a lot of what I do is sales and IT. So
Oh,
just
nice. Well,
um,
and your uncle David said you had worked there since you were a kid.
yeah, as a real little kid, I'd we had plan books and various flyers and things like that. That's probably the earliest thing I remember doing is stuffing papers in books to get ready to send those out so people could have floor plans to decide from.
That's really cool. Some kids have paper routes, but that you're getting like sales experience really early.
I guess so, yeah. I didn't ever see it that way when I was a kid. I just thought it was fun sticking pages in books and make a big stack of them and get to go to lunch with dad sometimes. So I liked that.
Oh, perfect. Well, um, let's see. We wanted to ask you why you got involved in the IMTA and why did you guys donate?
Right. A big part of our involvement was probably our history with Rob Pickett. And we probably worked with him for about 40 years. So in in log home industry, he's pretty respected, and with his name there, it was something we were interested in joining in on. But a big part of things is we're hopeful that through testing and things like that, the log home systems can become more popular again. It was a lot simpler back when there wasn't the necessity for as much documentation in some regions in the country, but we know they're energy efficient. We just wish that the world understood that too.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and like what kind of challenges have you faced then in the last since you've been in it 22 years? Like how has building changed over those years and with the building codes and requirements?
We're at in our local market, it hasn't made huge differences. Probably the biggest differences of what we see is with engineering. It seems like every year the snow must be getting heavier because they're asking
Oh,
for bigger beams and things like that. So just a little more expensive to build because larger logs are required today than what were needed before to support snow loads. But in some parts of the country where we're interested in shipping logs, um, you get into the res check and things like that, and the question often comes up to how do log homes fit in with this, where the R value isn't necessarily a fair reading of energy efficiency as it translates to a log.
Yeah, and can you go more into R value for some people that might not know? Like I think about it with windows, right, too, because I used to work for a window company, but it's kind of different when measuring like the thermal mass performance of logs.
Yeah, so that's with R value, it's going to measure the ability of the building material to reflect heat, where logs, they're not going to reflect heat so much as absorb it and store that energy and then be able to release that after the heating system turns off or the cooling system. And so, since log homes don't really reflect heat as much, they're going to be more absorbent. It's it's hard if you're running only off of that. But things like U value and thermal mass benefits, I think they're starting to gain a little more traction. And we're hopeful that these new tests will show that in a more measurable way that people can get their heads around.
Yeah, and how will the testing, like if when they prove that, like how will that help your business?
I think what it'll do is it'll probably get the ball rolling to where legislation can change, because that's a big part of it. There's some parts of the country where it just flat out, if there's no data, they're they're going to have a hard time approving it. But there are parts of the country that are very log home friendly still, and in those areas, I think it'll just help keep them that way. We don't want to lose traction in those areas.
Are those areas more around the south of the US or like East Coast? Because like, or are they, do you find like West Coast? Like, is there a difference between different regions in the US?
For me, I feel like the Rocky Mountains, for the most part, are pretty friendly.
Okay.
Colorado seems to be starting to become more difficult, and so I'm concerned about Colorado. We'd love to do a lot more log homes there, but it's it's becoming more challenging there. Utah's pretty friendly. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, they're pretty friendly still.
Okay.
Um, in the cold weather areas, that's what we see, but you get out to like Michigan
Mm-hmm.
and those regions, we send homes there, but I think we should be sending more homes there. And I think part of the difficulty is just the changing in codes and the way those are interpreted.
Yeah, how do you guys find out about codes? Like when they pop up?
Sometimes we have dealers that
Mm.
are all across the country, so a lot of times the first we'll hear from it is from a dealer,
Okay.
and they'll tell us that they're running into this difficulty, and we try to help them move through that, but we're not in all states. It's hard for us to have a presence in all regions. Where we're here in the Rocky Mountains, it's where we're able to travel a little bit and we can go to meetings and try to have some influence in those. But the further you get away from our location, we aren't able to do much. We don't know about those meetings and we don't have the manpower to attend them all. Hopefully,
Right.
hopefully lots of other members of the Mass Timber Alliance are attending them and advocating for better codes for the members.
Yeah, I know Rob is very busy. So
Yeah, yeah,
so he's out there
he
doing it.
yeah, he informed us a lot. I think it was probably about 10, 12 years ago when there were some energy codes that we ended up going to a lot of the surrounding states and going to meetings and kind of pleading our case because we were afraid that it was going to have to be a 14-inch log or it wasn't going to work for a wall. And that's a lot bigger than most people can afford. And there's not enough logs that are that size to be able to do the number of houses we'd like to do.
So what do you guys do? Like, okay, since the codes are the way they are, like how do you adjust the building or the wall then to meet those needs? Like, are you able to, or is it just bigger logs each time?
That's been what our fear was just bigger logs each time.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't really run into situations where we've had to increase the diameter of logs drastically. in personal projects. But
Okay.
I'm sure that some parts of the country there aren't exemptions for log homes that allow something with a lesser R value to still work. But generally, where we're at, an 8-inch log or bigger, you're fine for almost anything in our surrounding states. But you get into some counties, and they do have to become bigger.
Okay. And how do you see the log home industry evolving in the next like 5 to 10 years?
It's a good question. I wish I had the crystal ball to answer that. But I feel like short-term rentals, they're growing in popularity. So I think a lot of the designs that people are going to be coming up with are going to be more short-term rental friendly. Um, a lot of people, that's probably the only avenue that they could afford to get a log home in some of these resort areas, especially just the costs of new construction tend to be pretty high. But if something's short-term rental friendly, I think those are the designs that people are going to kind of gravitate toward. But the people with enough money to build whatever they'd like, I think they're still going to build whatever they'd like. A lot of our clients have been having a log home dream since they were children. So 50, 60 years, they're ready to retire and they're going to kind of build what they've been dreaming about. And it's fun to help people make that happen.
That's awesome. I'm a little jealous of those people, I have to admit.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
sounds
neat
amazing.
to see the joy that a lot of people are able to have when once they get into that home of their dreams.
Yeah, how many homes do you guys build a year then, usually?
We we don't have a construction crew that does the final assembly.
Okay.
Mostly what we're doing is we're just furnishing the building materials, but we produce, depending on the year, it's usually between about 120 and 200 homes per year.
Oh,
This
that's
last
awesome.
year we were probably closer to 120. So
Okay, that's a lot.
yeah, we like to try to get a couple houses out a day in the summer if we can. The winter's pretty slow.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of seasonal for log, it seems like. Cool. Anything I didn't ask that you'd like to add, whether it's about Yellowstone log homes or
Um,
IMTA?
yeah, just we're real proud as a family to be able to work in the log home industry. It's something we're all in love with, and we've all grown up in log homes, and so we've been around them. It's kind of our passion. We would love to be doing it for another 63 years. So the IMTA, that I think it'll be vital to helping codes kind of go in the right direction. I think unfortunately that's what is required to help the government go the direction you want it to go is get more lobbying and more data.
Yeah, it really helps to build your case if you have that data, I feel like. Even though we all know log homes are efficient, it's just we need the numbers.
Yeah, we're a pretty niche industry. It'd be awesome to see it become large. It was bigger back in the 80s and early 90s, I think, but homes are far more complex today, and it's fun to see the creativity too. But we we miss the good old days when it was really, really busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you there. Well, thank you for your time, Brett. I
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. It's fun to do the Zoom. So